Welcome to Reeldeemers, where we tackle B-sides, the offbeat, and the overlooked. Greg and I have worked in and around Hollywood, so we know just how hard it is to get a movie made. This is our space to celebrate cinematic misfits we hope you'll enjoy as much as us. With the upcoming release of Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic directed by Antoine Fuqua, we are revisiting the offbeat and overlooked 1988 film from the king of pop, Moonwalker. I'm one of your hosts, Andres, and with me is...
I'm Greg Bellavia.
Now, Greg, Michael Jackson is a polarizing figure. He is not free from controversy.
We want to get this out of the way right now, and then we can move on to the movie. So they couldn't prove that was pretty cute, but... And there you have it. I'm glad that we just got that out of the way. And, now we can all leave the problematic stuff behind. We can just dig into the movie and just have a good time.
Greg, are you a Michael Jackson fan?
Of his music? Yes, I am. How about you?
I am a huge fan of his music. My wife is actually an even bigger fan. And when I was working in London last year, she came to visit and we saw MJ the musical. And we're both blown away by it. It basically cut back and forth between his young life and adult life. And the adult life portion was framed around him preparing for the Dangerous tour in the early 90s. And I really loved the way they incorporated the 70s era. There's a scene where he as a young child sings with his mom, and it was moving and emotional. But my favorite part of the musical is a deconstruction of Smooth Criminal, where it breaks down his influences for the song up to the music video with him in the infamous white suit, which we're definitely going to get into later. But in the musical, it starts off slow in the style of those early 30s and 40s musical influences with beautiful Fred Astaire type choreography. And it has this incredible build to the song and dance performance we're all familiar with. That itself was worth the price of admission for the musical.
Well, it's funny. A couple of years ago, my wife and I took a honeymoon to Morocco. And one of the things that we had planned was we had a guide that took us all over. We ended up in this tent, just out in the middle of the desert, just us. We had just this magical trip. And one of the things is eating dinner with the guide. And it's just us and in the middle of absolute nowhere in this gorgeous desert. He started singing Michael Jackson. And here we are in Morocco. And we end up oh, you're a Michael Jackson fan? He goes, yes. And there we are, just having this magical experience and bonding with this person that our lives could not be any more different. But that was a universal language. And have somebody be that popular, that's the universal language, that moment always stuck with me.
It's tough to describe just how popular he was at his peak in the 80s and 90s. Any time one of his music videos came out, it was a big deal. Some of them premiered on major network television, not just MTV. There would be countdowns. It was a massive cultural event. Do you have a favorite MJ video outside of any in Moonwalker?
It's funny. I'm going to be basic, but then I'll give you maybe a slightly deeper cut. Thriller. I love Thriller, and I know that was everywhere, but I love horror movies. And as a young kid, to have something that has a werewolf story in it that then morphs into a zombie thing, and Vincent Price, that totally hits I'll enjoy a good catchy song. That's Thriller, but also to be that steeped in horror, and I can enjoy that when I was a kid. Also, I was kind of scared by stuff too, so it was also approachable horror. It's something I could watch, but then it wouldn't give me nightmares. So that really hit the sweet spot. But
speak for yourself, Greg. Thriller legitimately used to give me nightmares.
Oh, really?
It was a big moment when I was able to watch that on my own. I also want to mention a quick story because I don't know what other episode this would ever come up. One of my good friends celebrated his milestone birthday in New Orleans around the Halloween. He dressed up as zombie Michael Jackson from Thriller with the red leather suit, zombie makeup, everything. And the rest of us, and there was about 15 of us, We were zombies and we just followed him around as we bar hopped.
That's really good.
It was a lot of fun. People loved it. And we did all try to learn the Thriller dance on our own before we traveled. And then we attempted it at one of the bars, but it did not go well. It was just a drunken mess.
I was going to say, how many do you think you would have pulled it off had you not been drinking?
No.
All right, honest. I appreciate it. All right.
That's why I'm glad I had been drinking to even attempt it.
You know, I kind of like Remember the Time. I feel like that's an offbeat one, and also not everybody's favorite song, but I think like solid, good Michael Jackson song, also solid video. So that's not one of like the major hits, but I want to give you something a little off the beaten track, so I'll go with that one.
I love Bad just because of Martin Scorsese directing it. I remember the morphing effect at the end of the black or white video. It's such a basic editing tool now, but at the time, it blew people's minds.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool. And then like you mentioned, do you remember the time it had a massive premiere? I remember the lead up to that. There was so much excitement and it featured Eddie Murphy and Magic Johnson. But the one I want to call out that I think it and the song are both super underrated is Scream.
Oh,
Released in 1995. It's a song that he sang with his sister Janet, and I love both the music video and the song. I think they still both hold up.
Did you ever see You Rock My World, the one that he did with Chris Tucker?
I feel like I have, but I don't remember it. Like, though I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan, so I know of What Is Up With You he did with Eddie Murphy.
It's almost like a short film, and like Marlon Brando's in it. It's very odd.
Oh my gosh, no, I need to check this out.
It's kind of leading somewhere, and Brando shows up. You're like, okay, and then it just kind of ends. And so it's basically it's lead. You're like, oh, this is really interesting. So I would say it's like Smooth Criminal's fifth cousin.
Nice. All right, yeah, I'll definitely have to go watch that. Have you seen Captain EO?
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh, when I was a kid, I thought that sounded like the coolest thing in the world. And then my parents and I went to Disney, and I thought it was awesome when I was a kid. And then years later, as adults, we went as a group of friends, and one of my friends had no idea what it was, let alone a science fiction adventure. And sitting in the theater, like his eyes were like falling out of his. What is this? So yes, I am a big Captain EO fan.
So for those who don't know, Captain EO is a 1986 3D science fiction short film that was shown at a couple of Disney theme parks from I think around 86 until like 1998. But the most notable thing is that it's directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And I should say it stars Michael Jackson as Captain EO. I actually never saw it until I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, really? Oh, Angelica Houston plays the villain, and the costume design is awesome.
No, everything about it is just perfectly 80s.
Yes, well put. Okay, he's the king of pop. If you were around, you obviously know his reach. And if you're a younger listener, I don't know if we can convey just how big he was. Like everybody was a fan of his, and his music appealed to all ages, which is, I think, one of the interesting things about this film is that it's kind of this all ages like attraction.
My dad has a huge record collection. He owned the album Thriller. I mean, that album it was the biggest selling album for decades. Maybe it's been surpassed. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to that stuff anymore, but it's
That's
definitely
our next podcast. That's our music podcast.
I am looking forward to Michael. I do wish it had a better title, but I am a little skeptical. I mean, I mentioned in our Ali discussion my dislike of biopics and how they tend to sugarcoat things. And I feel a lot of more recent biopics are guilty of that. So we'll see where Michael lands. You know, my wife and I are planning on seeing it. So if anything, I'll at least enjoy the music.
Michael, Thriller's selling so well. The end.
Yeah, credits, just credits.
Okay, so you have the King of Pop, and it's the 80s. So what are you going to do with an international star? You're going to let him make a movie. So, Andres, why don't we kick this off with a question? Is this a movie?
It's a very good question. I mean,
it's over 90 minutes. There's credits at the beginning. There's credits at the ending. But a couple times during this, I kept hearkening back to the, is this a sandwich debate? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Is a Pop-Tart a sandwich? Legally, I feel like this is a movie, but we're going to get into the structure of it, which is unique.
It is very unique. There is a narrative at one point that kicks in very late.
37 minutes.
Oh, you counted it.
Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
I think you could call it a movie, sure.
The tagline was, "From the imagination of Michael Jackson comes a movie like no other." That is 100% on target.
But I guess that raises the question of concert films
Right?
or other films that are about or around albums.
Okay, that's a really good flag. Okay, so some stuff that jumps to mind. Pink Floyd's The Wall. Love the album, love the movie. There's a loose narrative about a musician, but that's basically an excuse to A, play some awesome music, and B, some really surreal imagery. That's not a front to back 3 act structure, but you're feeling it, you're into it. Daft Punk's Interstellar 5555, the story of the secret star system. Love the album. Really cool movie, even though the movie has really nothing to do with the album. They just basically take the album, play it front to back, and they put a like awesome animation over it. So that there is a story, but that's not really the music's not commenting on it. So they're just playing an awesome album in the background, and tonally it's matching the images that you see up on the screen. This is bad. I mean, like bad is represented here in the film, but how it's represented is in several different ways. Not necessarily a front to back story. There is some of that, but not for the entire duration of the film.
Now, I do want to clarify. I'm guessing you saying this is bad, meaning his album, Michael Jackson's album, bad. I don't know if you're giving your critique of this film just yet.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you for. Yes, the Michael Jackson, very popular album, bad. When I brought up to my wife that we were even doing this, and I joked about, like, I don't even know if this is technically a movie or not. She brought up that she had taken my daughter to see the promotion for Taylor Swift's latest album. So the Taylor Swift, the official release party of a showgirl. And that's listed as an 89-minute feature film, but it's really more of a promotional tool. But then again, there's credits at the beginning, there's credits at the end. It's 89 minutes. So it's one of those, it's like legally, I think they're films, to answer the question, but structurally, I don't know. And we'll get into it.
And had you seen Moonwalker before?
I had seen most of this. I thought I had seen all of it, but I do not think I saw the front of this. So as we get into it, I distinctly remember from the claymation segment on to the end, but that's missing like the first 15, 20 minutes. So, and then that was on, it used to be on MTV. So you'd come in, and also given kind of the all over the place nature of the film, you could drop in where Joe Pesci's on screen. You could drop in during Smooth Criminal. You could drop in when there's claymation going on. So it was a very easy movie just to have kind of playing in the background, considering it's just basically a whole bunch of really cool musical numbers.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. I feel like I saw it in pieces first before I actually sat down and watched the whole thing because it was constantly playing on MTV and we didn't have the option to sort of start and stop it whenever we wanted.
Yep.
You know, and us trying to figure out, is it really a feature film? Is it a narrative film? If we look at Wikipedia's plot description, this is what it says. Moonwalker is a 1988 American anthology musical film starring Michael Jackson. Rather than featuring one continuous narrative, the film expresses the influence of fandom and innocence through a collection of short films about Jackson, several of which are long-form music videos from Jackson's 1987 album Bad. The film is named after the dance technique known as the moonwalk, which Jackson was known for performing. The film was released theatrically in Europe and South America, but Warner Brothers canceled plans for a Christmas 1988 theatrical release in the United States. Moonwalker was released on VHS and remained #1 on Billboard's video chart for 22 weeks. Moonwalker also spent 14 weeks at #1 on Billboard's top video cassette sales chart. The film received mixed reviews. Critics praised the music, though complained that there was no plot and that it seemed like a series of music videos tied together. Variety reported that Moonwalker seems unsure of what it was supposed to be. At the center of the pick is the Smooth Criminal segment, a musical dramatic piece full of dancing, schmaltzy kids, sci-fi effects, and blazing machine guns. Directed by Academy Award winner Colin Chilvers, based on a story by Jackson. Around it are really just numerous Jackson music videos with little or no linkage. Although quite enjoyable, the whole affair does not make for a structured or professional movie, end quote. So I think the best way to go into this is we should discuss each segment. We'll describe each segment and then talk about it because I tend to agree there isn't an overall narrative, which you mentioned 37 minutes in, an overall narrative starts to really form.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Wikipedia helps break it down as well. So the summary is the film segments are connected by an underlying but overall narrative meant to represent the different stages in Jackson's career and were based on his own view of how his fans idolized him rather than listening to the messages he wanted to say with his music. The first segment is Man in the Mirror, and it's a live performance of Man in the Mirror during his Bad World Tour in Europe and America. As we're seeing his performance, clips from Met Center in Minneapolis, among others, can be seen. It also features a montage of clips of children in Africa, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Desmond Tutu, Jesus Christ, kids in graduation, and other historical figures, end quote.
Okay, so I love Man in the Mirror. Great song. Great song. I mean, I feel like we're going to be talking a lot about the music. Okay, great. Awesome song to open with. Fantastic. Andreas, what's Man in the Mirror about? What's the song about?
To me, the song's about looking at who you are and seeing the real you and what you want to be.
Yes. And on top of that, I'm asking him to change. So you're trying to get to the best. I'm looking at that guy in the mirror and I'm trying to get to the best version of myself. All right.
Yeah.
So I find it funny in the description, it says the different stages of Jackson's career and how fans idolize him rather than listening to the messages he wanted to say with his music. So here we have a song where it's about trying to find the best version of you. Like, I am not perfect, but I'm looking into the mirror and I'm trying to be better. While Michael Jackson sings on stage and compares himself to Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Jesus, amongst others. I don't know. This is the Michael Jackson show. This is a pop star at the height of his fame and popularity, be able to make something, but that's a little conceited. No, like shouldn't the music video be showing somebody who's wanting to change versus somebody who's putting themselves up against all these like amazing historical figures?
Well, it's interesting. I took it more as he's showing the power that other people have to be the best versions of themselves. I didn't take it as him comparing himself to them.
By default, by de facto, I feel like I have to compare because, okay, I know we're going segment by segment and not to get too far ahead. Michael Jackson here is perfect. He's a superhero. He's amazing. There's no downside. He's not even a human. He's a magical being who's here just to sing and have a good time and make the world a better place. So I don't see a human in this movie. So I guess if I had something else to kind of play it off of, or if that was the story of the film, but that's not it at all. The Michael Jackson of this film transcends like human concerns.
That's a good point. I mean, it's tough. It really is. You are delving into the mind of Michael Jackson with this film.
But great song.
Oh, the song's fantastic.
So questionable comparisons aside, that's okay. Cool way to open the movie. That's the first segment. Music video, Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson concert footage with these other historical figures. So overall, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up for me. It's all about the song.
Thumbs up for those three. The song is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but I agree with you. Okay. Segment number 2.
Segment number 2 is a 10-minute biographical film about Jackson covering the early years from the Jackson 5 until the Bad World Tour. I loved it. I really like this section because it just covers all the great songs from the Jackson 5 and all the great Michael Jackson songs leading up to the Bad album. And you kind of see the most important moments that have defined who he is musically and as a superstar.
It's an awesome, very creatively edited greatest hits of his career up until Bad. I could have watched this for way longer. If you kept adding segments in, that's how maybe it would have gotten exhausting after a while. But like this left me wanting, it's really, really well done. And also that's the benefit of being a great pop star. Every song as it's going from one to the other, I'm enjoying it so much. But then when the next song plays, I like that song too. So I'm not like, oh yeah. So, and also 10 minutes, that's a long time to be doing something a little experimental.
It didn't feel like 10 minutes though.
Exactly. So I want to stronger. And this is the again, I did not see this part before, or just I have no recollection of catching this part. And that's where I was like, whoa! I remember some of the other cool stuff that happened later in the movie, but this really, really impressed me.
You said it. I could have watched this montage keep going with the rest of his career.
Yeah, I mean, hour and a half seems crazy, but like a half hour of that, I think, because again, the 10 minutes flew by. So I
Yeah.
think you could have done an even longer version of this, but it's the right length. It's better to leave us wanting more than to completely exhaust us with it. But okay, so I think we would both say thumbs up.
Thumbs up for sure.
Okay.
Okay, third segment is a parody of the music video for Bad's title song, featuring children filling the roles of various people from the original. How did you feel about this one?
Okay. Not thumbs down, but also I'm kind of like it's cute, but it's long. Like this could have been like a minute, and I would have been like, oh, so a little bit of diminishing returns as it went on. But the kids did a good job, and Brandon Quinton Adams as he playing a young Michael Jackson, pretty charismatic. So I'm not a monster.
This is a thumbs up for me. I love this just because I'm such a huge fan of the original video. So then to rewatch this, and I had remembered that this was part of Moonwalker, but I hadn't seen this segment in so many years. It just brought me joy seeing it again. And the kids killed it. The choreography was fantastic. Like you said, Brandon Quinton Adams playing young Michael Jackson, his choreography was amazing. And like he's charismatic.
I'm not trying to be rude to the batter segment, but like I didn't feel the length of the retrospective. I did feel the length of this. But again, Your Mileage May Vary as a parody or an homage to the video, it's great. I mean, like the kids do a fantastic job. Just for me, I knew a lot of the other crazy stuff was coming down the pipeline. So I was just kind of like, okay, cool. So get thumbs up, but not as enthusiastically up for me as the last segment.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew other crazy stuff was coming, but the length on this one didn't bother me. But I can't argue against it if it bothered you. Okay, the fourth segment begins with the Batter short film transitioning into the second short film, Speed Demon, produced by claymation innovator Will Vinton. A portion of the clip is set to Jackson's song Speed Demon. After filming Batter, young Jackson and his bodyguards, as still as young kids, leave the set and walk through a cloud of smoke and come out as their regular adult age. So we actually see Michael Jackson. And as he exits the set, he's spotted by tourists and they suddenly begin to chase him for an autograph. In an attempt to avoid the overzealous fans and the interviewers, Jackson disguises himself as a rabbit named Spike using a costume from one of the film sets. The biggest thing about this segment is the animation style of the claymation.
Well, then, okay, so actually, we don't do this often, but I'm actually going to jump into one of the categories while we go through this because this is my crew shout out. Will Vinton, because we're not going to have another chance to talk about Will Vinton on this particular podcast. So, for those of you who don't know, Will Vinton was a claymation innovator, and his work was all over the place in the 80s. And like, there was a very successful California Raisins ad campaign. It was instantly recognizable. So this style was popular for a minute. And the funny thing is, here we are all these years later, there's a certain uncanny valley-ness to it, and there's a certain crudeness to it. And I don't know if like a quote unquote modern audience would connect with that. But when I was a kid, I thought this was really cool. And it's not just here, but Vinton had been around for years, and he had won an Academy Award for one of his short films. In '87, there was the Will Vinton's Claymation Christmas Celebration. I remember watching that and like loving it. He did a movie about Mark Twain. Did you ever see that when you were a kid?
No, I'm not as familiar with Will Vinton. I mean, you mentioned he did the California Raisins. I'm familiar with them, but I'm not as familiar with his name.
He did The Adventures of Mark Twain in 1985. Very trippy movie. Maybe that's a future episode. I don't even know. One of the all-time great kitty nightmare fuel segments. No one who has seen that film can forget the segment. If you've seen it, you absolutely positively know what I'm talking about. But again, the style in this film, that's what he was known for. That's his wheelhouse. And when it popped up, I instantly got hit with a nostalgia bomb for that. Because I used to really enjoy his stuff because it was so different. No one else was doing claymation or work like that. And it's also instantly recognizable. He put his stamp. He did a version of The Little Prince that's really good. I guess I'm afraid in the year 2026, it all just seems so dated now, when back in the day it was so fresh. And I guess that's all innovation and animation and all that jazz. But just, I am a fan of his. I'm glad they're here. we're not, I mean, unless we're covering the adventures of Mark Twain, we're not going to be talking about him that often on here. And I just want to give him his flowers. Now, do I think this particular short film is the best of him and his parts? No, not necessarily, but it's still cool that it's here. And I like Spike the Rabbit. But like you said, we're going out of batter. And this is really in two halves. The first half is Michael Jackson running around the film lot, and there's paparazzi, and there's crazed fans, and there's angry actors, just basically a whole bunch of people that he's trying to avoid. And he disappears into this rabbit character, and then that turns into a chase. So now it's him racing away from them. He escapes from them, and then the segment ends with him taking off the costume, and then the costume coming to life, and them having like a dance off. So to this point, this is the longest short film segment that we've had.
I really like the way they blended the live action with the claymation. Even there's points where you can tell it's a live action person wearing a sort of mask or head that's shaped like the claymation, but that's used very, very intelligently to add to those transitions of when we go from live action to full animation. And I thought that was cool. I will say though, the song isn't as memorable for me.
I like the idea of it because I think that's a theme in a lot of these movies, just how being famous can be rough because you don't have a personal life. That's apparent in, A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles. That's apparent in Head, the Monkees movie. Really good, underrated. It's a common refrain from like musicians. And I get it. I get that. That would be where we have no like personal life. So again, I agree. The music maybe doesn't match what we've seen up to this point in the film, but I do think it's a very memorable sequence.
Agreed. I've remembered the craze fans on the tour tram since I was a little kid.
So I'd say thumbs up, but I agree. Not the best music part, but a very, again, memorable sequence.
Yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up, but I could not tell you how the song goes.
Yep.
Even having just seen it. Okay, the fifth segment of the film is a surreal animated music video for the song Leave Me Alone, focusing on supermarket tabloid interest in Jackson's personal life. It compares Jackson's life to an amusement park and how his fans just see him as such. It's meant to point out in a mocking tone the way the tabloids unnecessarily sensationalize his life with claims that he had a shrine to Elizabeth Taylor and bought the Elephant Man's bones. In the video, Jackson's life is portrayed as a circus due to the press's manipulation and the everyday tug-of-war he endured as an artist. His beloved then-pet chimp Bubbles makes a cameo appearance as Jackson is seen picking him up and riding with him on his roller coaster car. His pet snake Muscles is also present. The segment ends with Jackson destroying the park and looking off into space. And for me, Greg, this segment is the opposite of the last segment. This is such a memorable song. There's memorable moments within, but I'm giving a thumbs up because of the song, not because of really what's in there. Although I do have to say, there's some cool moments. Like, I love the moment where they do incorporate the Elizabeth Taylor part where she's actually singing the song. They use footage of her. And when he's accused of buying the Elephant Man's bones, there's another great, I think it's claymation, animation of him dancing with a human skeleton that has the head of an elephant that I thought was pretty clever.
I love this music video.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed it. And this was interesting to me because it's not like the tabloid stuff wasn't happening. And it's not like Jackson's life wasn't under a microscope. But it's one thing to be running away from paparazzi in the previous segment. To have a music video straight on addressing the scrutiny was under in this film, that's fascinating to me. It's also like, it's not just that he's addressing it. I'm going to dance with these bones. I didn't just buy these bones. I'm dancing with these bones. I'm with this, I'm with Bubbles on, this ride. And it leaned into it in a way that I did not remember. I know the song, like the visuals were familiar, but the subtext behind it, that did not stick with me at all. And also it's him riding through this kind of amusement park, but also it's surreal. So there's a larger version of him. There's a giant version of him that's being held down, and that's what the park is built around. So he's both riding in the amusement park, and he is the park itself. And it ends with him rising up and crushing the park and like standing up and freeing himself from it. So it's like, it's a really cool video, and it won a Grammy for Best Music Video Short Form. I can see it. I totally. So it's, again, some other stuff's going to come right around the corner and overshadow it. But this was one of the highlights of the movie for me.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's bad in any shape. I just didn't react as well visually to it as an overall piece as I did with some other segments here. But again, the song is just, we're just going to keep saying that. The song's amazing. Yep. Okay, next segment. is 37 minutes in. Is Smooth Criminal. So the segment begins with three orphans, Sean, Katie, and Zeke, sneaking through a big city to see their friend Michael going out for the evening. As Jackson stands in front of the door, he notices a falling star before he's ambushed by men with machine guns. The film then backtracks to show Jackson and the children playing in a meadow in happier times.
How are they playing in the meadow?
Well, they have a soccer ball, but they're not really kicking it around.
They're throwing a soccer ball around like people do.
Yeah, it was a very awkward scene. So as they're playing, their dog Skipper runs away and Jackson and Katie run off to look for him. They uncover the lair of Frankie Ladeo, aka Mr. Big, a drug-dealing mobster with an army of henchmen, leading an operation called Bugs and Drugs. He wants to get the entire population of Earth addicted to drugs, starting with children. As Mr. Big continues work on his operation, he discovers that Michael and Katie are spying on him. Now, we should say Franco Ladeo is played by Joe Pesci.
Very important.
So the story returns to the ambush in front of Jackson's apartment. Unknown to the gangsters, Jackson wished on the falling star and escaped the gunfire, leaving only his overcoat.
Is that what happened?
I guess so. He just disappeared, and you see the coat on the stairs that's shot up, but you can't really tell what happened. Because what happened?
I assumed he was magical the whole time, but I'll get into that in a second. But okay, please continue.
Oh, are you asking about wishing on the star?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because every time he does something, which I'm sure we'll get into, he sees the shooting.
I feel like it's not like, okay, continue. We'll unpack this. Okay, please continue. We'll unpack this in a second. There's a lot here in this one.
Upon realizing he's escaped, Mr. Big orders his henchmen to track down Michael with dogs. He's eventually cornered in an alley where he wishes on another falling star and turns into a Lancia Stratos Zero sports car that mows down several of Mr. Big's henchmen. Jackson is pursued through the city's streets until he loses the henchmen. So do you want me to keep going before we talk about...
Okay. Let's do it.
Meanwhile, the children scout out Club 30s, where Jackson had told them to meet him, and find only an abandoned nightclub. As Jackson arrives, Katie sees a silhouette of him turning back from a car into himself. The door of the club opens with a gust of wind, and Jackson walks in to find it filled with men in suits and swing dancers. The children gather outside a window of the club and watch Jackson dance to Smooth Criminal. So before we could talk about how great that part is, Mr. Big lays siege to the club and kidnaps Katie. Jackson follows them back to Big's lair and ends up surrounded by his henchmen. Mr. Big appears and taunts Jackson by threatening to inject Katie with highly addictive narcotics. While Katie manages to wriggle free, Mr. Big decides he has had enough and orders his men to kill Katie first, then finish off Jackson. Just as a falling star passes by, Jackson transforms into a giant robot and kills most of Mr. Big's soldiers, then turns into a spaceship. Mr. Big gets into a large hillside-mounted energy cannon, firing on the space...
You said that. We said that like very naturally. Mr. Big gets into a what? Can you repeat that last part?
A large hillside-mounted energy cannon.
Because everything else that's happening is magic, right? He had a hillside cannon ready to go just in case he was up against a supernatural musician
that could turn into a robot. I mean, he's got a secret lair, dude. Of course he's got a hillside mounted energy cannon. So he fires on the spaceship, knocking it into a nearby ravine. The children are his next target, but the spaceship returns from the ravine just in time to fire a beam at the cannon with Mr. Big inside, destroying it and finishing the villain once and for all. The children watch the ship fly into the night sky with a shower of light. End quote. Greg, there's a lot to unpack in this segment. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. Now, I assume he's magic the whole time. And I get the stars, they're there, and I understand. But he tells those kids, where does he tell the kids to meet?
At Club 30s.
And what happens when he shows up at the club?
When they first show up, it's like covered in cobwebs. It's all dirty and dusty. There's really nothing going on there.
And what happens when Michael Jackson shows up?
They open the door in a gust of wind and it turns into a great 1930s looking club.
So I don't know if they're ghosts or an alternate dimension, but something magical's happening. So this is why I don't sign on to the stuff, because he's not Michael Jackson, regular dude. I'm Michael Jackson, I'm regular dude. Oh no, I'm being threatened. Universe, help me. and then that gives him like powers. He's been magic the whole time. So I get the falling star imagery, and yes, there's wishing on falling stars, and the kids wanted to be okay. But this dude, there's something up with this guy from the get-go because he's telling the kids to meet at a magical club that only he can access.
Is the magic because at one point, one of the orphans makes a paper shooting star and Michael Jackson uses that. They wish on it and he comes back when they think he's dead, I think. I don't know.
That's actually a good point. For a split, there's a scene where, wow, Michael's dead, and those kids are sad, and then 30 seconds later he's back. They don't need like, why even introduce that?
Paper mache shooting star, bro.
Well, this is the showstopper. I feel like if anybody remembers Moonwalker, it's the Smooth Criminal video. It's him turning into a car, him turning into a fucking spaceship, Joe Pesci being a great Joe Pesci. It's a lot of fun. It's redonkulous. I mean, it literally starts with him walking out into an ambush and then jumping into a flashback. Why couldn't it be told linearly? Why is the flashback necessary? Why is he throwing a soccer ball with those kids? Like the idea of there being a drug dealing mobster who wants to get the whole world to even canon films would read the script and be like, that's a little over the top. Also, I know it's all in good fun. I'm not going to stay up at night upset about this, but I'm Greg Bellavia. Italian American representation in films does kind of bother me at times. Why does he have to be an Italian mob? Can't he just be Mr. Big of no nationality whatsoever? He has to be an Italian mobster, but
I think you're just jealous of his hillside energy cannon.
And his hair.
That is some hair. You mentioned him turning into a car and you mentioned him turning into a spaceship, but we should also talk about when he's the actual robot / cyborg and he's shooting missiles at all the henchmen.
Fucking killing. Also, okay, maybe now's a good time to bring this up. All right, is this a kids movie?
I
would say no, it's not. But isn't it interesting how the batter segment is all about kids? We have a segment devoted to claymation, an animated style associated with children's entertainment. And here is Michael hanging out with some young kids and being like a superhero. And yet here we are also being like, nah, I wouldn't show this to children.
It depends. If they were into Michael Jackson, I would show this to kids. There was stuff that was creepy to me when I was a kid.
I will say, kids don't get as much nightmare fuel as we did. And sometimes I do think, like, it's tough. I would never intentionally show something to my kids that I feel like would like upset them. But also, sometimes going through some of that stuff, I feel like broaden my horizons, for lack of a better term. So it's almost like sometimes it's nice, but again, I wouldn't intentionally be like, hey, we deliberately have not watched Neverending Story. I don't want to fuck my kids up with.
Oh man, yeah, that fucked up a whole generation, dude. Yeah, that's rough.
There's a lot of stuff here. Michael Jackson, human transformer, the one-man war on drugs, hanging out with orphans. We don't know these kids. I think that's part of what's so funny about this. This is the longest part of the movie. This leads into the end. There's another segment after that we'll get into, but like this does dovetail from this story into the finale of the movie. You couldn't build this out more. You couldn't give these kids families or a story or Michael Jackson's day job or whatever. I think he runs a music shop. I believe that's what they shoot up. It's funny how this is like cut to the bone short film. We could develop it. Nah, we're good. This is just enough story.
But I also wonder if the old question of what came first. Did they pitch the movie first and hey, we'll do a bunch of music videos and put it together as a movie, but we need one longer than the others? Or did they pitch individual music videos and then Michael Jackson was like, you know what, there's a way to connect all of these and we can create something that we can release?
That's a good question. I feel like this was pitched. I want to do Moonwalker, like this segment. I think, hey, that's done, but it's 40 minutes. Hey, why don't we take this other stuff, stitch it together? That'll be the movie. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what happened, but so that's where I guess it's a little bit more Machiavellian, like a plan, where it's not like, I don't know, I have a hard time believing people were like, this is going to be our front to back movie. It's going to be these segments all put together. And then there was like this overarching, like, that's our plan. Versus I think it's just, hey, here's a whole bunch of cool stuff. Hey, by the way, we can slap this in between credits and release this as a feature film in some places.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make it more of a narrative film, then you would need to throw in more backstory for the three orphans and what's going on with their relationship.
So thumbs up, right?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Smooth Criminal alone is a thumbs up, but the fact that he turns into a car, a robot, and a spaceship, and Joe Pesci with a with a hillside energy cannon, it's two thumbs up, my
Yeah,
friend.
that's the best part of the movie. If you're watching Moonwalker, it's for that segment. And that leads us into the final segment.
The final segment is Michael leads the three kids through a tunnel that ends up being backstage to where Michael Jackson goes on stage and performs a cover version of the Beatles song Come Together. Now, this brings up the infamous story about Paul McCartney telling Michael Jackson that he should get into music publishing, and then Jackson outbid everyone to purchase the Beatles' music publishing. In an interview with Howard Stern in 2001, McCartney was asked about it and confirmed that when asked for some advice, McCartney said to get into publishing, and Jackson said, "I'm going to get yours." McCartney thought he was joking and slapped him on the back with a laugh. Then found out later he got theirs. He got the Beatles' music publishing. But in that same interview, McCartney says, quote, "You know what's weird? I don't mind that. He had all the cash, someone was selling it, and he bought it. What I don't like is that I've actually written to him a couple of times saying, Michael, don't you think even if I was a writer on the payroll after 30 years of being reasonably successful for this company you now own, don't you think I could have a raise?" And he said, "Oh, Paul, that's just business." And I said, "Yeah. And we've never talked about it. He won't answer my letters, so haven't got that great a relationship." End quote. So that's straight from Paul McCartney. And it's funny because Robin, Howard Stern's co-host, mentioned that Jackson had cash flow problems at that time back in 2001 and asked if he could buy them back. And McCartney responds with, quote, "I don't know if it's rumors or not, but you know the trouble is I wrote them for nothing, and buying them back for these phenomenal sums is just, I can't do it." End quote.
I get both sides.
Same.
If I was McCartney, I'd be furious. And if I had the means and I'm Michael Jackson, why not? I can do it.
Yeah. The other crazy irony is that Sean Ono Lennon, John Lennon's son, plays the young kid in the Smooth Criminal segment.
Okay, I'm not even trying to be funny. This is my one thumbs down. After everything else that's come to, like, great song, I prefer the Beatles version. I don't think it's the most inspired cover in the world. And also, this is how they're ending the movie. And you've seen all this crazy shit for the rest of it. And it's like, it's come together on stage. Goodbye. And then there's a little bit over the end credits too. So there's a little bit more there. But like, I don't know. You hit this fever dream experience. To me, that's almost too normal of a way to end the movie.
I'm with you. It's pretty forgettable. I hate saying that, but that's something I didn't remember from when I saw it before. And I feel like when I'm going to remember this movie in 10 years' time, I won't remember that section either. But I do like the performance of a song called "The Moon is Walking" by Ladysmith Black Mambazo over the end credits. It's really, really cool.
All right. So I can't help but notice that was a lot of thumbs up.
Yeah.
So I guess we liked it.
I would recommend this if someone is interested in Michael Jackson and likes Michael Jackson, I think it's worth watching. But I would get it if people didn't give it as many thumbs up as we did.
I have a hard time calling this a feature film. I get it. It's 90 minutes. There's narrative stuff, blah, 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 blah. But it is a film like no other, as the tagline said.
Absolutely. But I would call it a concert film, even though it's not covering one full concert. It just feels like it belongs in that genre of a musical artist showcasing their music, and we're seeing music videos tied together.
This kind of sent me down a rabbit hole because then I started thinking, what would you do with Michael Jackson as an actor? What are you going to plug him into? Some generic movie? Oh, I'm a school teacher and I wish I was a pop star and No. I'd rather have him turn into a spaceship and blow up goons and annihilate Joe Pesci. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you'd call this, it's totally unchecked creativity. And unchecked creativity doesn't necessarily give you a blank check. It doesn't mean you automatically get a thumbs up. You're probably going to end up with something interesting. You know, they make a Prince joke in the movie, which I like, because, you know, they're contemporaries and both, you know, very, you know, just artistic, like, heights around this period. I'm a Purple Rain fan. Not perfect, but I like it. But that's a more traditional movie, a guy trying to make it as a musician, his highs, his lows, that type of thing. And also, like this film, amazing soundtrack tied to it. I don't see Michael Jackson in a Purple Rain. You know what I mean? That's not, it's like, I don't think he would play a dark, tortured character or drama necessarily well. And hey, I'm no actor, I'm just observation. The Wiz, him playing the Scarecrow, I think that's good casting. I think he works as happy, upbeat characters. I don't know if he could anchor a drama. So it's like, again, I go back to, yeah, this is a really odd duck of a flick, but what else are you going to do with him?
I feel like you would need it to be something extremely whimsical and almost otherworldly. And I don't mean just like a space opera or something like that. Just it has to have an element of magic because that fits his personality. So I think you could put him in a feature film, but like you said, he plays a scarecrow in The Wiz. I was going to say a Wizard of Oz type figure or almost something like Willy Wonka, right? Like just something that has that sort of whimsical, unique.
Johnny Depp does kind of play him as Willy Wonka.
I mean, yeah. Exactly. Like that has to have that level of magic, could introduce sort of darkness there. Because also for me, in the Smooth Criminal segment, it's an incredible music video.
Yeah.
But him as a 30s gangster, it's like it works for the video, but I don't think I could buy him in a full feature film playing that.
I agree 100%. But because it's so otherworldly, you don't even think twice about it here. But if he was Michael Jackson, gangster on the street, no,
Right.
that wouldn't fight. He literally turns into him in claymation form, but his version of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, oh, it just made me wish we would have gotten a Tim Burton, Michael Jackson film, like something they could have done together. It would actually have been really, really cool.
But I think that's what's interesting because with Prince, you could give him a more he's a very over the top flamboyant character, but you could anchor him to something. Madonna, she had an acting career,
Yeah,
like you could put her in stuff, and her and Dick Tracy, really not that out of place. She's fine. She does a good job in it.
she's
Like
great.
Jackson, though, you gotta find just that. There's gotta be some sort of parameters on that. And that's just an interesting observation. That's tough. Coming up with whatever that script is or trying to find that's lightning in a bottle, that story, versus just like, hey, let's lean into this stuff. I think some of the themes here are interesting. It's the constant trying to escape. Also, did you ever see his team up with Stephen King Ghosts?
No, I'm not even familiar with that.
That's another short film where he plays like an eccentric recluse who's friends with kids. Townspeople think he's like this fiend and come to get him. And Jackson plays the lead townsperson who's upset with himself. So it's Jackson in character calling Michael Jackson a freak. Invite Sigmund Freud. It's very interesting.
What
Short
year
film.
was that?
96.
Yeah, I'll have to track that down and watch it.
But just there's this recurring, I don't fit in with the adult world. I just want to hang out with kids and live this like innocent. On the one hand, it's like, oh, it's cute, it's whimsical. And then if you think about how like tortured his childhood was, as light and fluffy and effervescent as this movie is, like if you kind of look at like the subtext of like what Michael Jackson wants, just leave me alone. I just want to like do this. It's like there's some dark stuff in here, like right under the surface.
For the category of heart of the film, that's my heart of the film is Leave Me Alone.
And it's funny because film is like fun, so you wouldn't necessarily think that, but if you just think about it for like 2 seconds, it's like, oh, that's kind of dark.
Of course, yeah, it's 100% dark. There's no other way to look at this. It's him trying to escape. I mean, why don't we get into categories? I'll just start. Like I said, heart of the film, Leave Me Alone. It captures Michael Jackson wanting to do his thing. We're seeing the full creative mind just letting go here. Leave him alone, let him cook. But also, it does showcase that darkness that he's feeling. He wants to disappear in different characters, and he certainly does in this film.
I like yours better. I actually think you've cut to the true heart of the film. My heart of the film was, I'm the king of pop. This is my feature film.
I mean, I kind of said that too. It's like he's doing his own thing. Let his mind cook. Favorite scene.
Look, okay, I'm gonna give runner up. Runner up is the Leave Me Alone music video. It's a really great music video. I love it. Like, look it up on YouTube. I can't argue against Smooth Criminal. It's so good. It's iconic for a reason. Also, watching it fresh and the full thing extended. It's like the cinematography is great. The song is great. It's got a vibe. Even if you hated everything else surrounding the movie, that 10-minute sequence would make it worth watching.
It's so good. That's my pick too. But my runner-up was the child parody of Bad. I just really love that segment. But Smooth the Criminal, it's that. Okay, favorite shot.
I don't want to be completely basic. I feel like even saying Smooth Criminal is pretty basic, but if it's the truth, it's the truth. So I feel like the true answer is when he does the lean. because that's the most memorable image. But again, it's too basic. So I'm going to go with when the song slows down, and if that's your background, and if you can't see it, it's these really cool blue like just moments in the club before the song picks back up again, and there's a silhouette of a cat right there, and I thought like, this looks awesome. And so it's a good like, of course the music's great. Bad's a great album. Like we're all listening to Bad. That's fine. The cinematography in that cooks, and just I think that's a good example of it looking fantastic.
Until I got to my pick, which I'll mention in a second, all of my shots were basically within that video or during the chase scene because the silhouettes of him being chased, there's a great shot of where he's running towards us in silhouette with, again, that 80s steam behind him and the four Dobermans running at us. That's not my pick. My pick actually is the shot of MJ on his knees holding his face, and he looks up and opens his eyes, revealing they're glowing. Then his entire face and hair turn metallic. This is when he's turning into the robot, and it reveals that he's a cyborg. His face disengages and opens up. His cyborg face opens up to reveal the inner mechanics of it. It's a very strange moment. You know, if you're only seeing it for the first time, it's out of nowhere. No real big lead up to it. But the VFX and maybe stop motion effects, I'm guessing, on it they still hold up. I was really impressed with that shot. MVP.
Hey, Michael Jackson. This show.
Yeah, I was going to say Michael Jackson, but I got to give it up to Brandon Quinton Adams as young Michael Jackson during the kids' parody version of Bad. And then he also plays one of the orphans in Smooth Criminal segment. Like I said before, all the little kids in the Bad video were great. They killed the choreography. And Brandon Quinton Adams is also in The Sandlot, The Mighty Ducks, and Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. I had to mention that because I have to ask you, Greg, should I watch it?
Oh, yeah. You see the cover art, you hear The People Under the Stairs, you see Wes Craven, and it is all those things. But it is not going to match the movie you have in your head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you enjoy it more than Deadly Friend or?
Nothing would beat Shocker. So if you ask me Shocker versus anything, Shocker versus eating a pastrami sandwich, Shocker every time. But Deadly Friend, damn, that's a tough one.
And I dug Deadly Friend.
Yeah. I think front to back, People Under the Stairs is better. I think Deadly Friend has higher highs.
Interesting. Okay, so then I definitely need to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. And listeners, Shocker is on our list. We don't know when, but it's going to happen.
I'll have another birthday. Christmas is coming up. I don't know. We'll figure something out. 4th of July, any occasion is a good time for Shocker. So
underrated element.
Well, I was going to say, underrated stuff. Like, I want to give Brandon Quinton Adams his flowers. I agree. He's great. And also, Michael Jackson is just Michael Jacksoning all over the film. So it's like, it's easy for just about everything else to get lost in the shuffle. So spotlight on him. But true underrated, the chase scene. Because the chase scene, there's no popular Bad song playing over it. It's just a chase scene. And the cinematography is awesome. And the car looks really cool. And it's like Michael Jackson turning into a transformer and blowing up goons and then incinerating Joe Pesci. It's so WTF. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not like a great action scene. You know what I mean? It looks cool. Yeah. But it's not like the action cinematography. It's just like you're so like your jaw's dropping because it's so strange. The chase scene is a legit, well shot chase scene in the middle of this very odd segment of the film. And I feel like that would get lost in the shuffle. Also, I feel like the big takeaway is him as a spaceship. I don't think people necessarily remember him turning into a car.
Yeah.
So I think that segment, but out of everything, it kind of gets lost in the crazy shuffle, but it's really well done. So that's my most underrated.
My most underrated is the special and visual effects. I think definitely hold up. I mean, looking at the silhouette of him turning into a car is just a simple silhouette, but it works and you believe it. As out there as it is, as unexpected as it is, you are convinced he turns into a car. And also when he turns into the cyborg was great. But I will say the chase scene, I love the chase scene. I think you hit everything on the head. Cinematography is great. The only thing that keeps me from naming that as either underrated or favorite scene is Joe Pesci's ADR. It gets to be a bit much.
I feel like it fits what is happening.
Okay, that's fair. Who is having the most fun?
Spike the Rabbit.
Nice. For me, it's Michael Jackson. I think he
Yeah.
was definitely having the most fun. The credits read story by Michael Jackson. This is his brainchild and everything he wants it to be. He's the biggest artist in the world at this point. He can do whatever he wants. So this is what he wanted to do, and he's loving it. Okay, convince me to watch it scene.
It's tough because no segment really informs you of what any other segment is going to be, so that's almost cheating. So I'm going to say the retrospective music video because it's so cool.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick. I'm going to go with them playing pseudo soccer in the meadow. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It couldn't be. It couldn't be.
um, I want to say Smooth Criminal, but I feel like that's the obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be. It has to be the Smooth Criminal. Because that anyone who sees that portion, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to watch the rest of the film. If you just tell, like, if you actually showed someone just the Smooth Criminal section, you said, yeah, watch the rest of the film without letting them know anything else that happens. I want to talk to them immediately after they see the film. Actually, I want to watch it with them and just to get.
I was
their
going to say, do you think
reaction.
they're going to pick up the phone for you after that happened? Because you've tricked them terribly into watching this.
That's a great point. Okay. Our favorite category, t-shirt quote.
I want every kid in the whole world to take drugs because of me. Because of me. I want everybody to know. Everybody. My name is going to be in the history books. They better spell my name right. Lideo. So simple. Frankie Ladeo. Very easy.
It's a long t-shirt.
That's his face, and it's just trailing off. It starts big, and then it gets smaller as it trails off at the bottom. That's my design of it.
I love it. I love it. That actually would work. Because if anyone saw that with Joe Pesci's haircut, they'd be like, what is that from?
His name is a play on a producer. So that's an in-joke.
Oh, I didn't know that. Which producer?
That is a play on Frank DeLeo, who was a producer on the film.
Nice. My t-shirt quote is just Michael Jackson in the white fedora, and it says, "You'll see what I can do."
He shoots a guy in the club. A guy tries to stab him, and he doesn't like dance away or make the guy dance. He just shoots him with a pistol.
Yeah, I just saw what he could do, Craig.
Yeah.
He could also turn into a car and have random flashbacks.
The flashback happens so fast. That might be the most, you know what? Maybe I'm going to call it audible. My most underrated is that flashback coming out of nowhere. Oh, it's Michael. Blam, 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 blam. Cut to some time before. We don't even know what the time frame is. So
it's so just sudden. It's not even, if they had just moved it to before the kids are looking for Michael, it would have made way more sense. But the fact that it's the bullets start, the place is getting lit up, and then we cut to that flashback of them in a meadow, and it's the most saturated color tone. Okay, Oscar nomination.
best soundtrack.
That's a cheat.
If he can call this a feature film, I can say that that's a best soundtrack. The fact we're even letting him slide, we're doing him a favor. So.
Touche, my friend, touche. I'm going with Vincent Patterson, who was the choreographer for the Speed Demon and Smooth Criminal segments. So I would say best choreography. They also choreographed a good number of other Michael Jackson videos, some Madonna music videos like Express Yourself, Like a Virgin, and Holiday. But they also choreographed some films: Mannequin, Hook, The Birdcage, Evita, and Dancer in the Dark.
Pretty good career, though.
Yeah, it's a great career. Okay, we always like to end on a crew shout out. Now, Greg, you had already given yours, but why don't you remind our listeners who you picked?
Will Vinton, look him up on YouTube. A lot of cool stuff, very innovative for the time. I think it still holds up, but again, it's a different type of animation style than maybe you're used to. That's all.
I'm glad you're shouting him out. My shout out is Dan Engstrom, who's the assistant sound editor. They also worked on Troop Beverly Hills, Black Rain, Strange Days, Toy Story, Titanic, Saving Private Ryan, and Galaxy Quest.
It's a good resume.
That is a great resume.
Did you play this game?
Moonwalker. Oh, the video game?
Yeah.
No. Have you?
Yeah, good arcade game.
Really?
So I know it came out on the Sega. I never played it there, but it was a fun arcade game.
So it was arcade game, and it did come out for Sega?
Yes.
Can you describe it? I'm not familiar with it at all.
It's based on, I was a kid, and I'm kind of filtering this through like but it's basically it's Smooth Criminal, but he can change into like robots and stuff. So it's basically that segment as a video game. There's like levels and you're saving kids and like Michael, like all like they're them calling out to him over it. So maybe a little annoying, I don't know, but like as again, think about arcade games of that time, pretty cool, and also like the fact it would end up on Sega versus like NES. But I'd give it a thumbs up.
And was the shooting star a special move?
There was a special move where you could make all like your enemies dance on the screen. I'm telling you, the game was pretty good.
What, when people ask what's your superpower, I kind of want that. I want my enemies to just break out and dance.
Well, it's funny. It's like, Michael, how do you want to deal with the drug dealing, Mr. Big? Do you want him to dance with you? No, I want to turn into a spaceship and blow him up. It's like, oh, okay, all right, we could do that.
Do you think that Mr. Big would have pulled out the hillside energy cannon if Michael had just challenged him to a dance-off?
Yeah, if you have the hillside energy cannon, I feel like you want to use. I would want to use it. So yes, but I guess it worked out. I suppose it worked out better this way. Michael Jackson was responsible for the craziest day of work of my entire career.
Okay, story time.
I worked at a company that covered entertainment news, and Farrah Fawcett was quite ill, and it was terminal, and everyone knew that. So they had been working on an obituary for her, just a video package ready to go. If it's sad, but just it was inevitable at that time. And the day came, and she passed away, and we've been prepping for this. And I'm like, okay, get ready to roll the package. I go to get lunch. I got taquitos. I'm walking back, and somebody walks by me, and they're like, heart attack? And I was like, what's that about? And I walk back into my desk, and my coworker looks ashen. And he's like, there's something going on with Michael Jackson. And all of our carefully made plans for the day went out it was a live show. So we were scrambling to try and adjust it. So this whole entire show was based around Farrah Fawcett, and they're ripping stuff out. Producers are sweating. It was just like just panic. And then we got the live show out, and then we had to like stay because they were redoing the show for the next. Because like we basically just got out. This happened. And now it's like you have to put together like the memorial piece. You have to get all the old clips out that you have and everything. Now my wife, I called my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I don't know when I'm coming home.
Yeah.
Because we were going to be here. And we were there like just the whole day. Normally I was home by 3, and we were there like all day long just to knock it out. The most frenzied I'd ever seen that. But as we kind of close this out, it's interesting. It's worth a watch. If you're into Michael Jackson, it's certainly worth a watch. If you're into WTF cinema, yeah, check it out. But a little while ago, Jennifer Lopez put out a movie that was on Amazon Prime, This Is Me Now. It's basically like, it's one of her albums, and it's also her reflecting on her love life. So it's like a concept album about that. And J-Lo's, that's not my type of music. I'm a rock and roll guy, but that sounded interesting. Watched it with my wife. It's fun. It's fine. Like, if you're into Jennifer Lopez stuff, hey, by all means, check it out. But it did inspire the thought in me. I wish every pop star was given a chunk of dough and they could go off and make whatever they want. Because guess what? It's going to be interesting one way or the other. And This Is Here Now is interesting. Pink Floyd's The Wall is interesting. The Daft Punk movie's interesting. Varying quality, but I've enjoyed all of those. And it is just what would you do if you gave Michael Jackson millions of dollars to make something? He makes something pretty damn entertaining.
That's awesome. I have not seen the J-Lo. I like a lot of her songs, but I haven't seen that film. One other thing I just wanted to mention before we end the episode, in my notes, I saw an article from the Boombox from 2011 that the Michael Jackson estate had officially shut down the ArcLight's attempt to debut the King of Pop's cult classic 1988 film Moonwalker. It's never screened in the US.
Huh. That's interesting.
So Hollywood's ArcLight Cinema attempted to track down a print of Moonwalker, which they planned to screen for one night only. However, they were blocked by MJ's estate. Quote, "We have bad news. It's not available," a rep for the ArcLight explained. "We contacted the film's directors and producers and were finally directed to MJ's estate attorney. They let us know the estate has the rights, but have no plans to make prints available for rent at this time." So it sounds like they were looking for a print to screen, but the estate just didn't want to give a print for them to do that.
Maybe it was just too much work on their. I'd be curious if, other than just it being a pain in the neck why you wouldn't want it out, because I think this would kill with a crowd.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, why wouldn't they offer to just do? Well, I'm trying to think in 2011. Yeah, they must have been doing digital projection by
Yeah.
then, right? Yeah. So, like, why wouldn't you just offer to do a digital version to show?
I
And
imagine a
why?
lot of Michael Jackson rights are a mess. That might not be true at all. Just with anybody that rich passing away, I just would assume there's complications. But again, that seems like pretty much a layup. And also, it's fun. It's the one night only thing. But who knows? Who knows with that stuff?
I think this would be such a fun time to screen it in a
I'd see a
theater.
midnight movie of this.
Absolutely, definitely. Awesome. Any other things you want to mention?
I do think a Prince discussion would be interesting as well, and I think to compare it to this one would be pretty good. So I don't know, maybe keep your ears peeled for that one, guys. But this was a fun talk.
I'm glad I got to revisit it. You know, it took me back to my childhood when remembering things from it and a lot of things I didn't remember. So I would say check it out if you're a Michael Jackson fan for sure. And again, I'm looking forward to Michael coming out. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Reeldeemers. If you like what you heard, please leave a like, follow, or a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Those go a long way to help us reach others who might enjoy listening. If you want to reach out, you can email us at reeldeemers@gmail.com. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Our music is by Adolfo Delanoy. You can follow him on Instagram at Adolfo Delanoy. Thanks again, and stay safe.